Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Do you want better English? Do you want a better English learning experience? If the answer to those questions is yes, then this podcast is for you. The truth is, if you want better English or a better experience of learning, then you need to have a better view of yourself and what you can achieve. Every week, people come to me and I hear the same story. My English is bad. My English is terrible. I don't know how to move my English on to the next level. For some people, it's about simply learning. Perhaps they have a poor view of their own abilities. Perhaps they're unable to move themselves forward. Or perhaps they feel distracted by the world around them. For most of us, learning a new language is a little bit like being in the ocean. Sometimes the sea is calm and it's plain sailing in our little boat as we move forward. But yet for other people, the storms come and that boat is pushed backwards and forwards, to and fro, until we reach a point where we think it's unbearable and we have to abandon ship, or at least take some kind of action in order to keep ourselves sane and safe. The problem is not actually English itself. The problem is your view of learning. If you really think that you're in an ocean getting knocked around by things like time, family, other things you have to do, chores like cooking, for example, or traveling to work and back from work, these things can seem impossible to manage. I want to share with you a story from my childhood. I remember when I was 7 or 8 years old, I couldn't sleep well because I was convinced there was a ghost outside the window. Every evening I would try to sleep and I would hear something knocking at my window, and I was sure that it was something supernatural. My parents assured me that it really was nothing, but around midnight every night there was a gentle tapping sound on the window. One day I was so afraid that I decided to go to the window and open it and face whatever it was which was outside. It took a lot of bravery to do that and a lot of strength. I was very surprised to find that there was no ghost. There was simply a tree with its branches hitting against my window. From that moment on, I never could believe in a ghost because I knew what was really there. But yet the feelings associated with that incident were very strong. I was sure 100% that there was a ghost there. But as soon as the truth became available, that belief just vanished. Now, it's true that these days we don't believe in ghosts very much, but we do often believe that there are things we can't achieve. Finding time to learn a language might well be one of those things. Underneath the complaints of, I don't have time to do this, I can't do this, I'm not learning anything new, there is an ability there. We all have it. It's just about facing it and claiming it. How do we do that? Well, we have to first of all reverse that opinion, that voice which keeps telling us it's not possible, I can't, I won't, I can't, and turn that into a voice which says, you know what? Actually, I can do this. This is not beyond my possibility. And the more you can see the possibilities, the easier it becomes. Now, for those of you who listen to this podcast regularly, you'll know that I'm learning Persian. For the first few years, when I started to learn this, a voice kept saying the same thing. You can't, you won't, you'll never achieve this. And for a long time, I did actually believe those voices in my head which said this was too difficult for me. But slowly, with time and a bit of patience, I've been able to see what I can achieve. Now, I have to say that my Persian is still not in a place where I can say it's wonderful or fantastic, but I am able to see progress, and I'm also able to see what I have to do in order to make it happen. One thing that's helped me a lot is contemplation. Now, I'm not suggesting that you run away to a mountain and sit there for 2 weeks to learn a language. But what I am saying is, when we make decisions from a place of peace and silence, then we find that things in our lives generally get a lot easier. If we're able to quieten our minds for even 5 or 10 minutes every day, that's enough for us to make valuable decisions about how much time we need to spend on something. And that's very different from grabbing 2 cups of coffee, living on your nerves, doing a job with only half your mind upon it, just to please your boss. It's the very same thing with language learning. If you come at this from a very limited view of yourself and what you can achieve, then guess what? You're going to achieve only what a limited version of yourself tells you that you can achieve. You might be saying to yourself, well, meditation's not for me. You don't need to meditate. You just need to find some space and some silence where your mind does nothing for a while. A place to sit down, quieten your mind by whatever way you want to do that. It might be a mantra, it might be something more religious, it might just be a quiet mind for a few minutes. But whatever way you do it, it needs to be done in order to reset your time for learning. If you don't have any kind of contemplative practice for learning, then you can expect that your limited view of time isn't going to get bigger. It's not your limited view that you want to make bigger. You want to reverse it to make that view something which incorporates a want and something that you like to do, rather than just simply trying to push English in between two meetings. A few weeks ago in this podcast, I told you about the students who came every week and said, "My English is bad, my English is terrible, my English is awful. I don't have time for this. I can't see you tomorrow because I have a meeting with my boss. Are you free later today, 1 hour after our meeting time?" And he went to great lengths to try to avoid and reschedule the classes that we had booked. It became very clear that for him, English was something of a commodity which, firstly, he wasn't able to measure, and secondly, he wasn't able to do. And as a direct result of that, that constant voice, English bad, need more English, became dominant for the few months in which I agreed to teach him. But finally, there came a moment where clearly he simply just wasn't able to continue, and I wasn't able to continue supporting him because I could see that for him, English was something outward. It was something which was somebody else's problem, but not his. If you're looking for a bigger view of your English today, then it begins with a bigger and better view of yourself. Contemplation and quiet time allows us to see what we can achieve and what we can't. It allows us to see what our priorities are in learning, and it allows us to respect other people more, rather than just seeing them as another commodity of our day. So, if you want better English and a better experience of learning, that means taking a bigger view of yourself, of who you are, what you can achieve, and how you can achieve that. If you do it through contemplation, it will mean some other things will fade away, maybe some things which weren't important before. And it might also involve something new like English coming to the surface. So my advice to you today, just for 5 minutes, and I'm sure you can manage 5 minutes, is to sit perfectly still and just to ask the universe what you can achieve today. You'll probably find that those 5 minutes will give you boundless amounts of energy, as well as allowing you to reflect on really what the priorities are. Well, that's it from me. I hope you found this helpful. Please take a few minutes today just to try to find some quiet time to look inward. We all have our messages bleeping and our cell phones ringing, but 5 minutes only is enough for us to have a little reset. See you soon. Bye.